everybody. I'm gonna adjust my mic. Shit. Welcome back to the videos. I've been pretty busy, actually, over the last couple days. But today, in Arma 3, we're going to be taking a closer look at something that I've been spending a lot of time with. As you can see, I've made my own mission using the Arma 3 mission editor, called Operation Urgent Fury, which some of you history buffs might recognize, perhaps not. You can Google it, whatever. But, yeah, it's basically been what's taken up my time for like the last several weeks, almost non-stop, and I kind of want to go in and showcase some of the cooler stuff that we were able to do. As you can see here, it is a whole map, a type of objective base. This does use the Famine 3 framework, which allows for kind of mission call and objectives, which is a really neat little feature where basically you can't finish the mission until every one of these objectives has been called in. And also, I would like to thank the Famine people for giving a working briefing type of thing, seeing as I didn't even realize that. But yeah, I kind of modified their menu a bit to do like the special thanks menu and all that for the people who have so far helped me to test this mission, which has been pretty fun to make. Kind of frustrating at times because of a lot of the scripts and stuff not functioning exactly how I would like them to, but that's beside the point, so we'll go ahead and hop in here. As you can see, we have some wonderful custom units that were made that are Army multicam. At least that's what I was told they were. So that's really cool. It's a really nice camo. Texture job was really well done. But that's, yeah, obviously to simulate United States military presence. Here we have the virtual ammo box, which is basically just when you use a fill box script, it has some pretty wicked lag server side because it has to populate those boxes for everybody and all that stuff. It's stuff that I really don't understand, mind you, but that's all right. But basically, what this does is it puts everything into this menu, and it doesn't actually exist in the box. Like if you run up to the box and open it, it's just a regular ammunition supply crate, which doesn't really affect the server much, but yeah, so it puts it all in these menus, and then if you want something, you just click it, hit add item, and it adds it to this list over here, which is the stuff on your character. So that's really nice, but I'll just go ahead and load some gear here. One of my personal favorites is the HK417, which is added by R3F's French weapons, or whatever they would like to call it. Another thing that should be noted, this is a custom. Like, beyond this being a custom weapon, they do add some really, really awesome scopes. This is probably my favorite scope that they added, is a feline scope, which not only has traditional night vision, but also a thermal optic. At this range, not so great, and I just blinded myself. Beyond that, a lot of I have noticed that a lot of the weapon attachments don't exactly function super well with VAS, and that's because the class names for like them being attached to weapons are different than the traditional BIS class names. So that's why we have these two things here. So you can grab the silencers and everything. This being the French weapons, and this over here being Al Warren's Colt weapons with the M4A1s and stuff like that, which these guns are totally bitchin'. They're probably my favorites personally, but I'll keep this rifle for now. Well, the idea behind this mission, I guess, is a good way to start this. The Chinese and the Iranians are kind of making a deal for military support one way or the other, and they're kind of going through that final meeting phase here on Stratus, which is why we've been inserted. This is a 10-person mission. So you're inserted onto the island to kind of make sure that the whole deal thing doesn't go down, because obviously we don't want the Chinese and the Iranians working together at all, because that would be super bad. Also, it's really cool, the artillery module's working, which is cool. We'll see that effect here in just a moment. But yeah, so the Chinese and Iranians are making a deal. We don't want them to make a deal that would allow them to give military support to each other. So we are inserted onto this airfield, which is not quite in use yet. The Chinese haven't landed their forces here. But yeah, we are inserted here, and then our job is to make sure that the occupation force here of Iranian people and the PLA forward operations people are removed, because obviously, at least in this case, being that the war is going on in 2035, this would be an excellent kind of beachhead or foothold for the American forces wanting to get to the main island, which, obviously enough, we can't do that operation yet, seeing as we don't have the main island, but that's quite alright. So we'll go and take a look at some of the other cool stuff that we got over here. A lot of the objectives currently are just kind of clear an area or kill and report a target kind of stuff. Not want to do that. Land. But be that as it may, obviously, I'm still, especially early in my kind of modifying career for this game. And I mean, I've never looked at like an editor or anything like that before, so this has kind of been a new experience for me. And yeah, hopefully I can figure out how to do like escort missions for like VIP hostages or random events or something along those lines, and that would be totally cool. And I injured myself while landing. That guy's dead. It looks like that barrage killed everybody. Oh, yep, there's the fourth guy. Yeah, up in this place there's only 4 people, and that's a given. The really cool thing about a lot of the scripts, yes, by the way, I'm going to be playing in third person a lot of the time, largely because, I don't know, it's just kind of force of habit at this point. But one of the really cool things that I added to the mission really early on, and I really wanted to make a focus, was kind of random events, not so much in terms of objectives, but just like the idea that like random patrols and everything will be around, and you know, that way it's not the like same experience every time. Not so much in that like the fundamental experience has changed, so much as, you know, patrols that were in one location will be in a new one. You know, it really kind of gives it that the more of a living feeling, which is really nice to have, because, you know, obviously playing through missions, like if you play the same mission and everything's in the exact same spot every time, you know, you're gonna lose. At least if you're me, you're going to lose interest in that mission pretty quick after you've been able to do it 1 or 2 times. And yeah, that's really something that, you know, I wanted to make sure kind of didn't happen in the case of this mission. So almost every enemy on this map, excluding a few of the vehicles and a few infantry units, which are placed more or less in key points, are entirely, like, they're randomly generated based on the area that they're in. So, you know, groups and patrols will be in different locations almost every time you play through the game. I mean, obviously it's not going to be every time they'll be indifferent, because, like, you know, randomly spawned dudes inside that city over there are still going to be in the city, so if you attract them to an area with gunfire, then of course, you know, they're still going to be around. But be that as it may, you know, it still adds kind of a much-needed tension, I suppose, might be the way to say it. Not really sure how to say it, but it, you know, it adds a freshness factor to it, I suppose. And, you know, that was really important for me, especially going into this, because, you know, I wanted to make a mission, especially this early on, that I would be able to, you know, continue supporting and updating, especially into the actual release of the game, and, you know, maybe even one day become as popular as, like, Domination was, as being, or at least being on the same level of quality that Domination was. And, you know, that's kind of a big thing, for me especially, seeing as, you know, obviously high aspirations there, but I think all in all it can be attained with the proper amount of work and all that. But as you can see, apparently we're just going into running simulator 2012 here. well, 2013, I suppose, is the year now, isn't it? We'll go ahead and head over to a GM Arena, or let's take a look at the map. Let's see, sentry position has already been cleared. Camp Rogain's that way. I guess this would be a good time to show another really cool thing. Tau has released the folding map again for Arma 3, which, as you can see on the left side of my screen, just kind of pulls that up so you can keep moving and look at your map at the same time. You know, I still really don't understand a lot of the controls associated with it, which I apologize for, seeing as one of the AG guys was actually the one that wanted to add this, so I added it in. I didn't know how to use it until like yesterday, so that's probably more on me though. But yeah, we have the Tau folding map. I know how to move it. You can like do that, which is totally cool. I'm down with that. But we'll go ahead and put that away as we approach this hill up here. One of the things you'll notice too, especially with like the added weapons and stuff like that, it really does give it kind of a unique flavor to combat, especially having the feline scope. Now that I have thermal vision, which is well, thermal and night vision, it can really change the dynamics of like nighttime missions and even daytime missions with the thermal scope are pretty hardcore. I don't know if that's the right way to say that. I'm way too much of like a nerd to be saying stuff like that. I shouldn't do that. Alright. So we're cresting the hill here. I'll see. Gotta clear this place out. There's an enemy Ifrit there. My dude just teleported to the ground. One of the things, let's see, we'll call in a airstrike right on this bad boy. 08. 1, 2, use 3 shells. As you can see though, that, I mean, obviously, that thermal scope is going to be really useful, especially like right here. We'll go ahead and these guns can of course be zeroed, which is totally bitchin'. Is that car looking at us now? Good, they don't know we're here yet. At least they don't know. It's not necessarily true that the infantry don't know we're here, but I have noticed though that the artillery guys like to call in stuff before it actually happens, so hopefully that artillery strike will actually hit. And I've noticed sometimes the shells don't actually make contact. Okay, there we go. The second one might land. Yeah, there we go. There's the second shell. It should cause a secondary detonation. Yep, there it goes. And we'll go ahead and start. Hopefully I'll get hit here in a moment and I can show you the respawn system. But that's not necessarily going to happen because obviously I don't want to hand myself to them. But as you can see, this is kind of a game changer with the thermal optics, because you know you can track infantry movement really well. When at least in the traditional game, you know, that wasn't necessarily the case because you know, a lot of the infantry were sporadic, and you know, the only scopes, especially at night, that were really useful were the close quarter scopes, which when you're fighting in long range obviously aren't going to be a whole lot of, you know, they're not going to help you a whole lot in a long range conflict. One of the things you will maybe notice, it's kind of more of an under the hood type of thing, is I do have UPS running, which is what allows me to kind of dynamically spawn a lot of these guys. But they do, let's see, where the hell is that coming from? They do along with the random spawns, you know, they have kind of dynamic movement and cover adjustment, which you know, is a really interesting thing, especially given the fact that the way, like, it kind of changes the fundamental AI behavior to where, like, these guys down there will not only run for cover, but hopefully we'll get to see it possibly in a minute, where, I mean, it usually takes them a little while depending on, like, how many units they have and what they're trying to do. But they'll, I mean, they actively flank the player, and, you know, it can get pretty nasty pretty quick sometimes. Like these guys over here trying to do some crazy stuff with hand grenades. I'll go ahead and drop them out of the game. There we go. Oh, and just so people do realize, I'm fairly certain that the silencer is effectively useless, at least in the game's current state. because obviously we don't have subsonic rounds yet, and that's kind of like I'm pretty sure that's like a requirement for like modern silencers or something. I don't know. I don't really. I'm not obviously a huge buff on that, but let's see. I'll sit up here. 200-meter shots. Yeah. This is the no bueno of a situation. Let's see. I don't have any cover out here, which is the problem. That's my fault. That one's on me. But we'll see how many of these guys we can actually drop before they start getting up here and getting all up in my business. And yeah. Also, for those that are kind of wondering, because I've actually been asked this by people before, and no, having as many magazines as I have is not usually like a recommended strategy, but I like it because I don't carry very many things in terms of like anti-tank mines or anything like that, so I carry a lot of ammo instead. I think they should be. Yeah, there we go. As you can see now that, when they're using cover fire and all that stuff, you can start to see that we have people advancing up the side there, and I'm actually probably pretty close to willing to bet that they probably got dudes coming up that side too at this point. But as you can see, the AI is, trying to advance in such a way that, I won't be able to see them. Of course, since third person is enabled, I of course can see them. So we'll go ahead and zero this a bit closer and drop one of these dudes. Boom. There goes one. And I'm pretty sure there was more than one out there, so we're going to roll this way, and I'm actually going to put the silencer back on. You'll notice too that the weapons actually kind of have a different function. Not function, obviously. You're still shooting people with it, I guess. But you'll notice that the recoil changes and all that depending on what kind of attachments, rather if you have a silencer or not. And for some reason, at least with this gun, the case seems to be that if you have a silencer on, there is generally less recoil than if you didn't have a silencer, which is pretty fine by me. You'll also kind of, yeah, like I said, they're trying to get up on me. I'm gonna go this way. They're getting pretty close at this point, which is not good. I'm not much of a close quarters fighter, so we'll go around here and try and set up kind of a defensive position. I'm going to put on the 4x scope. This is probably my favorite scope, other than the other one, obviously, but largely because it's functional more than anything, I suppose. I don't know, I'm really bad at talking about military equipment. Have you guys noticed that? I'm pretty bad at this. But we'll go ahead and advance up a little bit. Let's see where the hell these guys have gotten to. For those that might, just like a quick note, I suppose, for those that might be interested in trying to play this with either me or the Adrenaline gaming community, which is kind of the Arma community, more or less, that I've been a part of for quite some time now. We will, at least the plan is to host it on the Adrenaline operations server for Arma 3. But that's kind of more of an on and off thing, largely because running it with the DayZ server that we also have obviously kind of conflicts depending on how much server space we have available. I can English gooder. But yeah, so that will hopefully kind of smooth out in the future. We've been working on getting that figured out and all that stuff, but yeah, we'll do. Basically, the plan that I have so far is that I want to use that community and like that to kind of test new changes and all that stuff, and really kind of help me kind of finalize, or not so much finalize as like take steps forward in like the content creation on this mission. And of course, I mean, obviously, once we get all that figured out, like the more the merrier kind of thing coming in there, because I mean, obviously you can only have so many people playing the mission at once, but you know, all the feedback is definitely more than welcome, and you know, I would really appreciate. Ooh, shit. That is an Ifrit, ladies and gentlemen, and I cannot believe that missed me. Oh, and ow, that did hit me. One of the things I am kind of proud of, I did a lot of messing around with the AI skill levels, so you'll notice that they're kind of like, they don't have Jesus accuracy really far away, and I mean, they still get lucky from time to time, but it's not super bad. But yeah, that is really more time than I probably should have taken for the first video. I'm probably going to do a couple of these just to showcase, because there's a lot we didn't obviously get to quite yet, but yeah, we'll probably pick that up next time. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time to take a look at this stuff, and you know, feel free to like leave any of your thoughts in the comments, and you know, maybe drop me a subscription, or I mean, you guys know what to do. I mean, you get the gist. You hear this shit all the time. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, cheers.